Making a video about the top 5 most overpowered classes in Mists of Pandaria, and here's a duel of 2 of the most overpowered, Frost Mage and Arms Warrior. Frost Mage winning the entire fight like it's nothing. Warrior gets down to second wind range, which is an overpowered heal, under 35% HP at procs, and it heals you forever for a ridiculous amount. Frost Mage still at 100%, Warrior slowly starting to catch up, until Warrior ends with 30% health, because second wind heals him forever, and Mage is eventually dead. Yo, but it's actually really funny seeing Frost Mage die. Fuck him. So a little bit about Frost Mage. Definitely an S tier class. Like every other or every third person in the PvP ladder is gonna be a Frost Mage. Oftentimes played with a Holy Priest in 2v2, a dominant composition with endless crowd control on both enemy targets. Notable spells: Frostjaw is a new spell in Mists of Pandaria. It's 30-yard range with 20-second cooldown, 1.5-second cast, and it silences and freezes the target. Barriers, different shields, but also Cold Snap to finish the cooldown on your Ice Block, Frost Nova and Cone of Cold. Super OP. And Frost Mage as always is just like you remember it from Cataclysm. Iceland spam with insane amounts of damage, don't even have to cast. You have your regular blinks to teleport you and free you off stuns. You still have your deep freeze on a 30-second cooldown for a 5-second stun. Invisibility and different kinds of armor. And this frozen orb thing on a 1-minute cooldown, if you see it drop by the enemy mage, that is usually when they burst. Does insane amounts of damage combined with their cooldowns. Get ready for a one-shot. And of course try getting out of the range of the orb as soon as possible if you're able to. And then there's this one, Second Wind. Oh, sorry, I meant to say Warrior. With their new addition, reworked Second Wind talent, whenever you're below 35% health, you regenerate 3% health per second. Every single second you regenerate 3% of your health. So let's say you're under 35% health for 5 seconds. 5 times 3, 15% health in just 5 seconds. If you combine the second wind period with some of your defensives, which you have many of, including Die by the Sword that increases your parry chance, makes you pretty much unhittable on melee, and also decreases damage taken, so it's actually useful against casters as well. Then of course you have your shield wall, finally on a lower 3-minute cooldown, down from 5 to 7 minutes, which was on Cataclysm, which was completely ridiculous, and that's why Warrior sucks. That reduces damage taken by 40% for 12 seconds. 12 seconds of second wind, pretty good thing. Spell Reflection, 25-second cooldown, helps a little bit. Rallying Cry keeps you alive for 10 extra seconds with that 20% max HP boost. Also perfectly well paired with second wind. And then of course you have some extra mobility with war banners and intervening your war banners. Plus you have some decent crowd control. You have your disarm on 1-minute cooldown. You also have your intimidating shout baseline. But then you also have talents you can choose. Shockwave and... where is it? Shockwave, Stormbolt, 2 stuns. Some people like to run both of them. Some just one of them, and some people just prefer to go for extra burst and damage with Bladestorm, Avatar, Bloodbath. And then if the regular Spell Reflection isn't enough for you, you could use Mass Spell Reflection against casters, especially classes like Destruction Warlocks. If you have a chance to reflect that big Chaos Bolt, that helps a ton. And don't forget about your hamstring that you can almost spam on your enemy to keep them snared, which is not on global cooldown even on Mists of Pandaria. So you can literally do your DPS rotation in PvP uninterrupted, and also using hamstring on your target so they're snared at all time and not running away from you. If they do, just heroic leap on top of them again, or use your charge with 20-second recharge rate. If you're using the same talent as I do, which I usually recommend, it's double time and that grinds you 1 extra charge on your charge. The pun was unintended. Overall, amazing class with a ton of damage, great tunneler, played with healers, a little bit of crowd control depending on what talents you take, incredible healing under 35% HP. I say it's probably the one single most overpowered ability in the entire game. second win. And just like any other PvP tier list, I cannot leave out rogues. Rogues are always a good pick for PvP on World of Warcraft, no matter the expansion. Mists of Pandaria is no exception to this. Let me tell you about the MVP talent in Battlegrounds, Burst of Speed. Essentially what it does is it gives you permanent 70% extra speed, so you're almost as fast as a mounted person. Perfect for flag carrying. There's rarely ever anyone that's gonna catch up to you. You're unmounted, they're mounted, and they still struggle to catch you. It only lasts 4 seconds, but the cost is only 15 energy, so you're literally able to spam it every 4 seconds. That's why you can have it on you 24/7, unless you're in combat, of course, then you have to use that energy for bursting, DPSing, and so on. Paralytic Poison, insane stun that is off DR. So you can cheap shot, you can kidney shot. You're now on big DRs with your stuns, so the next stun will last like 1 second. Nope. Paralytic Poison is gonna stun them big time. It is a little bit of RNG, but an extra stun off of DR is never a bad idea. And then you have a bunch of talents like Subterfuge. Even if you're a sucks rogue and somebody breaks a stealth, you still have 3 extra seconds to use your stealth abilities anyway. Cheat Death, if you really suck and you're gonna die, this is gonna save your life for a little bit and be a wake-up call to your healer, possibly. Never-ending crowd control, I mean, Rogue is just Rogue. If you played Rogue on Wrath of Lich King Cataclysm, you know most of these abilities already. One of the few classes that can actually still play in double DPS comps successfully is a Rogue on Mists of Pandaria. And again, unsurprisingly, another one that is always in the PvP tier list at the top is Feral Druid. Also pretty insanely overpowered. Feral has an insane damage, but not just that. Insane crowd control, the best mobility in the game. Probably even better than that of Monk. Although Monks have the teleport, which is really OP, but I'd still give it to Druids. Maybe the best crowd control in the game, along with Frost Mages and Rogues. Yeah, so overall, complete toolkit, really good in any kind of PvP scenario, whether it's BGs, flag carrying, defending bases, because you're really hard to kill. But even the damage you can pull off, crowd control, mobility, healing, because you're a hybrid class, you really can't go wrong playing a druid. So you still have your bark skins for defense, your cyclones for crowd control along with entangling roots, dash for speed, fairy fire against rogues so they can't stealth anymore, frenzied regen for healing, and what's better than being able to be invisible. And an interesting new addition to Mists of Pandaria, the Symbiosis spell, which essentially grants you an ability of another class depending on what class you choose. So for instance, you choose a hunter, apply Symbiosis on them, you get their Deterrence. Pretty overpowered. Getting a Deterrence, one of the major defensive cooldowns in the game. And rounding up the top 5 is Destruction Warlock. After sucking real bad in Cataclysm, it's now become overpowered. Much like Arms Warriors in Cataclysm kinda sucked. Now they're OP in Mists of Pandaria. Destruction Warlocks have a similar fate. Chaos Bolts now actually do damage, and they do a ton, so don't get it reflected by fellow warriors. But not just that, combining Conflagrates with Immolates, getting your heals through Burning Embers. Yeah, Warlocks can actually heal, and they can heal a ton. Casting your Incinerate fillers on the move. And another class with almost never-ending crowd control, especially thanks to Fears, but also things like Mortal Coils, Blood Horrors. Definitely my personal favorite. Mists of Pandaria Destruction Warlock design is the best it's ever been, and it's not even close. So if you've ever thought about playing Destruction Warlock, go play it in Mists of Pandaria. You will not regret. It's real fun, and it's actually really viable. I was thinking about putting Affliction Warlock over it maybe, but the fact that Destruction is this viable kind of makes me happy and surprised at the same time. But Affliction also a very good pick. It's really tough to pick your top 5, but I think I picked the top 5 that is actually above all the other classes and specs, and there's a substantial difference. But if you don't agree, or maybe agree with me, have different kind of experience than I have. Of course, I never played Mists of Pandaria back in 15 years ago, is it now? I've only played it on private servers. I've played quite a bit of it. Arenas, battlegrounds, even PvE, all of that, so I have a pretty good idea. And I've now been playing on Stormforge Shaolin for quite a bit, researching and reminding myself of how the classes and specs really performed. Because let's face it, 15 years ago, people sucked. And now I think people are much better in general in terms of playing the game. Let me know what kind of Mists of Pandaria related video you would like from me to do for you, whether it's PvP classes, PvE, or anything else. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Next time, top 5 most overpowered biceps in World of Warcraft YouTubing.